All right, I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and make it through one video. Whew. What's up, Cliff? What's up, Cliff? My appendix ruptured, so that's why I've been down. I haven't been doing videos the past week or so. But I'm all better now. I got my fold down thing on the living room and I feel better. I could talk, I can walk, I can do all that kind of good stuff. This is one video, one point that I want to add to the illegal education portion of my channel. And really, this video is really just made for Teddy, and I'll get into that in a second. But this is going to go into how you can use different types of fuels or race fuels if E85 is not going to be an option for you. And here we got to start somewhere. So 87, 91, 93. These are all fuels that you can get at the handle, at the pump. And one thing that I kind of want to say over this or get started on here is the octane. And the octane does mean something. It's pretty much resistance to knock. And I'll get into that in a second. Here, in North America, we go by what's this, RON over MON over 2. It's like a medium average. I'm not going to get too crazy into that, but I will say that this number here that we use in North America, I did use on VP Racing Fuel's website to go ahead and get some better data or to compare. So 87, 91, 93. They're all going to perform a little different. And to give it a quick rundown, I know I may go over some people's heads, but I want to kind of get a general statement over. Subject A, you have a 9-to-1 motor. Subject B, you got a 12-to-1 motor. This is compression ratio. Now, if you run this 9-to-1 motor on 87 octane, it's going to be fine. You're not going to have any knock. You're going to be fine. You run the 12-to-1 motor on 87 octane, you are going to have certain knock. Now, knock is pre-ignition, detonation. If you have knocking happening inside of your cylinder, is not good. It could lead to bent rods. It could lead to catastrophic failure. This is why you use premium fuels. And this is why in your Camry, you're going to use 87. Nothing against the Camry folks out there. Fucking weirdos. Then you compare it to like a 12-to-1 motor, like a GT350, or some built motor stuff, or some of the European cars that are out there that are turbocharged, supercharged, whatever. You're going to be shoving more air into the cylinder than you are a regular Camry. So here, ignition fires. I went over this in my ignition video and timing how everything works, and you can see that. You can click up there in the corner if you want to get a better idea of ignition timing and what happens. Spark happens, and it pushes the piston down perfectly fine. When you have knock occurring, ignition happens here, but also at the same time you have this is what's called pre-ignition, happening on another part of the cylinder inside the combustion chamber at the same time that this is happening. This is not wanted. If you have detonation happening, which means two flame fronts confronting each other with the piston still rising up, it's going to come out to a very, very bad time. So that's a quick rundown on that. Now, the subject at hand, which is Teddy's car, which is something I did talk about with Teddy. And if you don't know, it'll be the ATSV, is that his problem here, which is, I'll start down here with fuel flow. His problem is that his high pressure pump cannot keep up on full E85. E85 does make more power. E85 is everywhere. E85 is kind of like the every race car person's cheap race gas. So, in his setup, and it's very common with all these other kind of direct injected cars, you got low pressure pump. It's going to pump it up to the high pressure pump, and that's what's going to send it to your high pressure injectors, since his car is direct injected. Now, what his problem is, when he's on full E85, the high pressure pump cannot keep up. And that's due to the fact that when you are on pump E85, yes, it is a higher octane rating, and it is very much more resistant to knock than 93 octane. As you can see, the higher the number, the higher the octane, the less prone it is to knocking. Now, the downside about what he has is that on E85 you're going to use up to 30% more fuel than you would on a 93 or a gasoline-based fuel. So he can only run E10, E20. I don't even think he can go up to E30. So there's a few alternatives, and I'll kind of go over all of that right now. So pump E85, like I said right here, one of the cons, 30% more fuel, because the stoic point is going to be at 9.8. Now you have to understand stoic point and what it means when you compare it to gasoline, 87, 91, 93, it's all going to be the same because it's all the same fuel. Oh, damn, it almost fell. The air-fuel ratio is 14.7 to 1. So with E85, any kind of ethanol fuel, you're going to be in a 9.8 range-ish, kind of. So you're going to be using a lot more of it. You're going to be using a lot more fuel. 9.8 to 1, 14.7 to 1. So keep that in mind. Obviously, the pros with E85, it's easy. You can get it anywhere. Here, in Atlanta, there's plenty of pumps around here that are, at the pump it'll say minimum 51%, but you're going to get 70, 75, 80. Some places even get up to 85 or higher. It's cheap. I think I paid $1.15 a gallon. It smells good, and a real person who is about that life smells it. They know what's up. They see an intercooler and they smell the E85. They know that someone's about to get gapped, and it makes great power. I know cars that are out there making 800-900 on pump 85. Simple, easy. You can get way more out of it too. Cons, like I said, you use a lot more. Content fluctuates. If you are going to be on a dedicated car that is dedicated E85 or E90, you are not going to be able to rely on these pumps that fluctuate back and forth unless you do come across one of the pumps that are consistently 85 and higher. Hey, then you got a lucky one. Cold starts, they do take a little bit longer to cold start. And a con, not in this city, but kind of what all of this is going to lead into is that not every city has E85. Not every county is going to have E85. So with E85 being the cheap alternative route to race gas, but with the ATSV, we're not able to use it. There's two ways you can combat it. You can, one, find a race gas that has a similar stoic point to gasoline, not as much as E85, or use Bustane. Bustane's a real simple octane additive or booster. One bottle of Bustane to his tank will right at about give him about 100 octane, depending on how much Bustane you use. It's really easy. Add the bottle into your car. You can do it with it whatever you want. I think I looked on their website. They're about $20 a bottle. The only downsides is it's going to start to foul out your spark plugs a little bit. They turn into like it leaves like a reddish residue. And at the end of the day, you're going to kind of rely on it, and that's going to be your end-all be-all if you have a fuel system that won't be able to support it. Now, we may be able to get around this high-pressure pump issue if you go ahead and buy a $3,500 or $4,000 high-pressure pump, but, nobody really wants to spend that kind of money on that. And then we don't even know if his injectors are going to be able to hold that. I may be incorrect. I haven't really spoken to him about that much, but this is what all leads into making a fuel system. So there's that. He has been running it. He's been having really good luck with it. But this is kind of where his limiting factor is at. Now, I went on VP Racing Fuel's website, and there are 3 different types of gasolines or similar to gasoline stoic point fuels that are a little bit of a higher octane, but it's going to cost you. So the first one, obvious, is C16. Everyone has heard of C16. I personally know what it tastes like, and it tastes like burnt rubber, and it smells like burnt rubber when you burp. That was a long night. And it has a average octane rating of 118, much higher than the 100 or the potential 105 that you can get out of 93 and Bustane. 14.7, so the same stoic point as gasoline, so you won't have to tax your fuel system that much. You're not going to have to run, you're not going to have to worry about the injectors, the high pressure pump, the low pressure pump, any of that, because it is the same quantity of fuel being used as it is with 93. Downsides, it's going to be $101 for every 5 gallons. You're going to have to pay to play. So you can kind of do the math. I mean, eventually it'll even out, because if you get a pack of 6 of these Octane things, 6 times 20, they do give you deals here and there, but you're kind of going to be going back and forth on what you're going to want to spend your money on. I just did it to look it up. C85, everyone's heard of C85, and that runs at $62 for a 5-gallon drum of it. But look at that, you're going to be at 9.2 to 1, and that's an ethanol-based fuel. So I went ahead and looked up 2 more. We got MS109 and Q16. MS109 is at 104, Q16 is at 118. So it looks like Q16 and C16 are going to be the highest octane rated fuels that you'll be able to use that are similar to gasoline. Q16 is going to run a little richer, and it's going to cost you about 108 for every 5 gallons. MS109 is going to be about 94. So me personally, I only have experience with C16 in one of my friend's cars I used to help him out with. MS109, Q16, I know people have used them and been around, but honestly at this point it's going to be what you're going to want to use, and what you feel comfortable with using, and what your tuner is going to suggest. The downside, and the only thing I don't really know much about and how it's really going to affect, is that I believe C16 is leaded. So with that, I think you have to worry about valve seats and hardened valve seats and all that kind of good stuff that goes on there. Whereas Q16 and MS109, I believe MS109 is still unleaded. So there's that. So if 93 octane is all that you have, Octane would be a good alternative. It'll pick it up, it'll kick it up a little bit, but you're gonna sacrifice a little bit of your spark plugs. You're gonna have to run through them a little bit more often. Or if you want to go ahead and play on some real bigger boy stuff and get some big boy octane without having to sacrifice too much fuel, you're gonna have to go with, you can go with one of these. So that was a quick rundown. Thought I'd throw some of my, not really ideas, but some of the stuff that I've been thinking about and going over, and I like helping everybody with their projects. So, but at the end of the day, I think what's more likely going to happen is that he's going to stay on Octane, and maybe we'll go around and we'll play around with one of these fuels and see if we can get this car to crack a lot lower ET, which I'll leave that blank for right now. So I hope you like it. I got more videos to come, and subscribe if you haven't. If you already made it this far, I appreciate it, because I know a lot of people don't really like hearing blabber and talk and all kinds of stuff, but everything that I say here, everything that I provide, everything that I talk about is straight facts, and it is what it is. So we got more to come later.